Hello, everyone. Happy Friday afternoon. I am Valerie Lane with the MILLSUMMIT team. I am on the MILLSUMMIT planning committee, and I am here today with Anthony from the Department of Elections. If you guys didn't know, there's an election this year, as there is most years, not every year. This one just so happens to be a presidential election year. And Anthony is here to talk all things polls, working the polls. And I'm really excited to learn more because I am working the polls this year for the first time ever. So,
Great.
Anthony, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about what you do, and then we'll dive into all things elections and working the polls this year.
Great, Valerie. Thanks for having me here today, and thank you for working the polls. We are nothing without our poll workers, so we really appreciate it. But I'm Anthony Albence. I'm with the Department of Elections. I'm the state election commissioner, and we here in the Department of Elections, of course, are focused on voter registration, election administration, as you mentioned, all things related to elections, and we just completed the state primary and a very quick turnaround, as we have the last primary in the country, as a matter of fact. So we have an immediate turnaround and are very heavily into the general election prep now, which includes very significantly recruiting and training and placing our poll workers. So I really appreciate being here today.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So this year, I have seen a lot of information around the internet on working the polls. It seems like I've seen more information this year more than others. I'm thinking this has something to do with the coronavirus pandemic, but tell us a little bit about why it's so important to get civically involved and work the polls this year.
Absolutely, sure. And I think you're right. There certainly is more focus on that this year, although we have other options available. We certainly have our absentee voting, and now we have in Delaware for this election season vote by mail, which we didn't have previously. We're still going to operate all the polling places. And as you mentioned, in light of the coronavirus and the COVID-19 considerations, there certainly are some of our poll workers, and understandably so, who have decided not to work this season. So there's always a need, and now there's even a greater need for poll workers. And we're looking to welcome, folks of all ages, all backgrounds, all walks of life, because without the poll workers, it simply doesn't function. And really, it is everyone. We're all residents, we're all citizens, and we're all voters. And this is really an opportunity for you as a fellow voter to get out there and be part of the process. We can't do it without you, literally, and we rely on these folks who give their time, give their talent, give their dedication to us to make the process work and allow everyone to exercise their constitutional rights freely and without any impediment.
That's wonderful. I'd love to know from you what working the polls entails. Obviously, if you voted in person before, you've been able to interact with some of the poll workers. You've checked in with your ID. You've clicked the button. Now it's a little different. You've got those fancy new machines with the sliders. Can't wait to learn how to use them. And then hopefully you get your sticker at the end.
Right.
But if I'm obviously working the polls, but if somebody's watching and they want to know, what does my day entail? What can someone expect if they're interested in working the polls this year?
Sure, absolutely. And I'll actually roll it back even to before election day itself. The first step of the process is you would go ahead and sign up to work, and we have signups available through our website. Some people just contact the office. Some people fill out the form on our website, send us an email, whichever you prefer. Then you'll get placed at a polling place. We try to place folks. If we can't place you at your normal home polling place where you would vote, we try to place you somewhere close, and we certainly appreciate folks' flexibility. Sometimes we have individuals placed in different parts of the county in which they live, maybe not that close to their home where there's a need. So once you go through the application and the placement process, then you'll get assigned or be made aware of the training classes that are available and give you an opportunity to sign up for the training class. We offer very comprehensive training. It involves multiple components. There is a classroom portion, if you will, lecture kind of presentation that goes over basic election law, state law that governs elections, as well as policies and procedures. And then we have 2 hands-on components to our training. That involves a group work where you'll actually be paired with a trainer and a group of other workers. They may not necessarily be the folks you'll be working with. They could be workers from another location, but they're in your same training class. And that trainer will facilitate those sessions. And what that'll entail is you'll be engaged with those other poll workers to figure out and walk through how to set up your poll books, the equipment where for voters as they check in at the polling place. You'll go through that entire process of setting them up, operating them, putting them away, breaking them down. And the same thing for the voting machines, how to open the machine, how to operate it, how to close it at the end of the night. And it very much is interactive with the trainers call on each participant to take part in it. So basically, everyone's following along with their documentation, their manuals, and we're all, as we like to say, read a step, do a step, read a step, do a step. We try to break everything down so it's very, very methodical, and that as long as you follow the instructions, you can't go wrong. And what we also try to do as best we can is pair people up with newer poll workers with experienced poll workers as much as possible. So once you get through that training process, then you'll arrive at the day of voting. Now, if you're an inspector, which is the lead agent at the polling place, kind of the supervisor of the polling place, you do have some additional responsibilities, and you are compensated some additional funds for that. And those involve things such as contacting and confirming your workers in your location. We do ask you to also go visit the polling site in advance just to make sure the setup is as we have planned for it. The voting machines, are ready to go, that sort of thing. And then for everyone, the day of, you arrive at your polling place 1 hour before opening. Our polls are open 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. So we ask you to arrive at 6 o'clock. So it's an early start. Make sure you get everything set up, ready to go. You operate through the day, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. And then at the end of the night, as you close down, hopefully you're closing down and you're getting ready to wrap up your day around maybe 9 or 9:30 or so. And then that's the end of the night, basically. And again, we have some folks, like we mentioned, the inspectors. We have some folks, poll workers, whom the inspectors will designate to do some additional duties at the end of the night, which could be taking the media that has the unofficial results in it, as well as the secure card boxes, the secure ballot boxes, to the appropriate locations. And we also offer some additional compensation for that. So some folks may have a little bit longer day if they're doing some additional duties, but hopefully you're home. It's after a long, but hopefully very satisfying and rewarding day, we hope.
That's excellent. And I'm sure nearly everybody who works the polls goes home and turns on CNN.
To see the results, right? Exactly.
Right, big cup of tea, maybe a snack, and watching whatever news channel of your choice for the results. That's excellent. Yes. Mm-hmm. That's really exciting. It sounds like a wonderful opportunity to support the community and to meet new people. This year we've been so stifled in our homes to keep everybody safe. We're doing our civic duty by staying home, right? But now we're able to interact and engage. So I'm actually excited just to meet strangers who may be working my polling place with me and get to connect and just talk with other people, right? Something we haven't gotten the chance to do a lot this year.
It's a lot of fun. And actually, that's, like you mentioned, that's actually kind of the fun of the years and many years back before I worked in elections, and I worked as a poll worker too. That was a lot of the fun that folks might have, especially, whether the other folks or you don't, and it's new. That's part of the fun sometimes nowadays, of course, by email or text or what have you, not just by phone. People might be collaborating and determining, I'm going to bring something like this kind of food, something like that. Some people really make a fun time of it. It's kind of like a little get together. And like you said, especially now, because everyone's been so isolated and so separated throughout the year, just as fun interaction. And we, it's on that note that I will mention, I do want folks to know, certainly in working the polling place, just so everyone's, can rest assured, we do provide personal protective equipment for the poll workers. We'll have masks, we'll have face shields, we'll have cleaning and sanitizing equipment, gloves, hand sanitizer, things like that. That'll be part of your training, is how to make sure you clean and sanitize the equipment after it's used, making sure you're trying to maintain social distancing protocols as much as possible in the polling place, doing your best. We know it's a challenge when you're handling everything else, and now you have additional responsibilities on top of a lot of things going on. And we know our folks have in the past 2 elections, in the presidential primary and in the state primary, have done a generally very good job overall with that.
That's great. So folks who are maybe not choosing to work at the polls, but are going to be voting in person this year as their voting plan, they can, rest assured, know that they'll be voting in a safe environment that has been cleaned, and everyone's maintaining their distance as best they can so they can vote safely.
Yes, definitely.
That's wonderful. So there are some additional notes on a voting plan, right? If you plan to vote in person, obviously, making sure that you know where your local polling place is, identifying your card, or going online to find out where your polling place is. My partner and I have chosen to do the mail-in ballots this year, just so I have that taken care of before I work the polls.
Right.
Do you have information to share about deadlines for people making sure that their mail-in ballots are in on time, or if they need to drop them off at an office versus the post office?
Right. Sure, definitely. And we did do a number of mailings this year that included applications for absentee and now vote by mail ballots. So certainly that's one option to reply to that mailing if you wish to request a vote by mail ballot. Also, we have the voter portal iVote, ivote.de.gov, which is kind of our one-stop shop, which includes, among the many features on there, which includes checking your polling place location, viewing a sample ballot. You can request an absentee or vote by mail ballot there. So we ask, if you haven't requested it, do so now. As soon as you get it, as soon as possible, to get your ballot, vote it, and return it. As you mentioned, we do have some options to return. Every ballot is postage paid, so you can drop it right in any mailbox or give it to your mail carrier. If you wish to drop it off in person, we have some options for that as well. We have secure ballot drop boxes available at some locations around the community. Up in Newcastle County, we have them all. First of all, we have them at all the county offices. That's where we're authorized to have them. And in Newcastle County, connected to the county office, we have one in the office in the Carvel building in Wilmington. We also have one in the lobby of the Carvel building, so you don't need to go in the building. You just go right in the front door at 9th and French and drop it off in the secure box. Or if you happen to be outside of Wilmington, more central part of Newcastle County, in Newcastle, just outside of Newcastle, we have a warehouse and training center at 220 Lisa Drive, close to Wilmington Airport, near the Newcastle Farmers Market, that area. And it's signed the Department of Elections warehouse. In fact, if you're a poll worker, that's where you'll be going for training. So we'll have a secure drop box there as well. And you're welcome to do that and drop it off there. And those ballots are just like the mail ballots. Those every day we receive them, they're collected and are processed, as quickly as possible.
That's wonderful. So many options for voting this year. And I'm just sitting here thinking that one way or another, folks need to be interacting with the election. They either need to be signing up to be a poll worker, putting their application, or making their plan to vote, whether that's going to be mail-in, absentee, or in person. There seems to be so much conversation around voting this year, which is encouraging. The more, the merrier when it comes to voting, right? Make sure that your voice is heard.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to know if you know the number of poll workers that are still needed. I know that may be something that you may not have off the top of your head, but ballpark or anything to motivate people to, fill out that application?
Sure. We are actively filling all of our slots. However, I would say we would still probably need probably 15 to 20% of our poll worker slots we're still filling. So we definitely have plenty of options for folks. And so, yes, please make sure to sign up, check that out. On our website, elections.delaware.gov, we have a How Do I section. And under that, being a poll worker is one of the top items there. And you can actually click on that and it finds a full listing of what you will be doing and what some of the duties are and how to sign up, like I mentioned earlier. So there's still plenty of opportunities to do that. And for training purposes as well, I want folks to know that we realize your schedules are challenging, certainly with work and everything else going on, even in the midst of a lot of things not happening as they normally would. Schedules are still just as busy as ever. We do offer classes during the day. We offer them in the evenings, and we offer them on weekends as well, the training class. So you're not locked into a certain time. And there's many, for example, in Newcastle County, there are many dozens of classes that are offered. So you have a lot of opportunities to train. You're not locked into one day or one time. So don't let that be a deterrent to you as well. We can accommodate your schedule.
Amazing. And when I was filling out the application, I noticed that you encourage high school students
We do.
to apply to work the
Mhm.
polls as well. So what does that look like if somebody's under 18, but they want to be a poll worker?
Sure. If they're 16 or 17 year olds, we also welcome you as a poll worker as well. If you're under 18, that age, we do ask a parent or guardian to sign off on the application just because of the age. But you will be you will be enrolled, and you will be serving as a clerk, which is kind of the frontline role. I mean, even though we have different roles and responsibilities, with the inspector being the kind of the manager of the polling place, everyone's expected to do all of the roles. So there's
Mm-hmm.
part of the beauty of the process and the setup. But the clerk position, which a young person, a young high school student would be, is they would be operating and undertaking the same duties as anyone else, a clerk of any age or any background. So you'd be doing a lot of the same things. You could be checking in voters at the poll book. You could be helping to operate the voting machine. You could be maybe helping direct people in the polling place, kind of guiding them, where to go, that sort of thing, answering questions. So you're definitely part of it, and we encourage our poll workers, our very experienced poll workers too. They welcome the young people. They welcome the high school students. They love having them. High school, college students, people of all ages, and we're really seeing a big, significant mix of folks. And again, that's part of the beauty of the process, is the diversity of backgrounds and ages and walks of life, and everyone learns from each other as part of the experience.
That's fabulous. Do the high school students need to have a parent or guardian with them the day that they work the polls?
They do not. No, just as long as they sign off, the parent signs off on the application, the parent or guardian, and we also just like to make sure, like anyone, that they have transportation. There, of course, they can, if they're allowed, drive themselves or be dropped off and picked up. Just that's all. They do work the same hours, so we do need them there from 6 a.m. to 9 or 9:30. So yeah, we found that students. I was just on a call and in a session this morning, and actually another colleague in the state actually was commenting his son, who's 17 years old, had worked the state primary and had great experience with poll workers of all the different backgrounds. And we realize, again, like I mentioned, I always like to tell folks, it is a long day. We do, part of the requirement is we do need folks to work the full day. Now, granted, you're on site that entire day, but certainly, again, part of the beauty of the way that works is that we have poll workers, enough workers on site that you would work through your inspector, that supervisor on site. If you needed a break during the day, someone takes a break, grabs a bite to eat for lunch there on site, so you're not necessarily working all 13, 14 hours straight. But yeah, and the reason we do that is we need to have that complement of folks there all day, just because that is determined based on the number of voters we expect at the polling place. And we don't want voters to wait, or we want to minimize certainly the amount of time they'd have to wait and be served by the poll workers. So, and most people are fine with that. We mentioned that going in. It's a long day, but it passes usually very quickly, especially general election. It was usually a very quick day.
Yes, the more busy, the faster the day seems to go. I used to serve at a restaurant. I served breakfast, and man, those first few hours when people want their pancakes flies by.
That's right. You'll look up, and it'll be midday, it'll be evening, and then it'll be close of polls, and you'll be announcing the polls are closing, and your day will be over. So
Right. That's wonderful. So any parents who are watching this later on or now, this is the chance for you to drop your high schooler off and have a day to yourself, right? After you've, of course, practiced your own civic duty and voted. What a great experience for them to get some hands-on learning as well in this world of distance learning that we're doing. So I hope high schoolers at my polling place. I'd love to meet them and chat with them. So Anthony, is there anything else that folks need to know as we head into, 25 or 24 days home stretch towards the election here? Anything else that you would like Delawareans to know?
Sure. Just visit I know we have our website up, elections.delaware.gov. and visit ivote.de.gov, the voter portal. So check your voting status in advance. Again, if you're doing vote by mail or absentee, or if you're voting in person, check your status. Make sure your registration's accurate. Make sure that if you have an address update, that you maybe haven't submitted to us, do so. Make sure you know your polling location. Check your sample ballot out. Also, just one other note: if anyone's catching this the next day or so, October 10th, which is this Saturday coming up, will be the voter registration deadline. That's for folks who are not registered. If you're currently registered, you're fine. And remember, a general election party affiliation does not matter as it does in a primary. So you can be any party, no party affiliation, doesn't matter. Vote for any candidate on the ballot, doesn't matter. But if you're not registered, I do call folks' attention to that. This Saturday, our offices will be open 9 to 1. iVote will be available right up to 11:59 p.m. Or if you submit something by mail, a mail application, just be sure that it's in the mail, postmarked by Saturday, for us to get that registration processed in time for the general election.
Amazing. What a timely thing that we need to share with people. Tomorrow, deadline to make sure you are registered to vote. Anthony, thank you so much for your time this Friday afternoon. I have my training on October 20th, so I'm excited to get trained to work the polls and really looking forward to engaging in my civic duty on election day. So thank you so much, and happy election season.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thanks again for your service as a poll worker.
Absolutely.